Oh, sorry. Just a little. I'm a little bit shy.
How's that?
That's okay. Hi guys. I'm super nervous. I've never read in front of anyone before, ever in my life. I rewrote this in the car on the ride here. I have had probably the most difficult year of my life. My mom passed away in December, and I ended my first long-term relationship, my first love, and this poem is about stumbling through all of that and stumbling and actually into a sort of new unhealthy relationship and my numbness in my relationships with people. I am your flower. You pick me and take me home to watch me die, but you cannot bear the smell. I reek of apathy. My heart aches. The embrace of my lover is impure. The embrace of my mother is unsure. I reek of apathy. You say the words, they seem so real. You tell me how you really feel. I reek of apathy. Rip me open, come inside. You tell me what you're thinking. I reek of apathy. Open your mouth, I close my eyes. Don't you know, I can smell your lies.
Thank you. And next, we're going to hear from Steph Palmer. Come on, Steph.
I have also never done this before. I'm primarily a visual artist. I do paint, and so I have these drawings with the stuff that I wrote in there. Okay. So I wrote this shortly after collapsing from an anxiety attack in my living room. I'm laying on the forest floor and I'm looking into the canopy of the big oak and evergreen trees. My back is flat. The earth is cool and smells so good. I close my eyes and a wave of relief rolls through me. I turn my face. Something pinched me. Out of my arms, larvae feed, wiggling from one piece of flesh to the next. It tingles. I feel alive. Beetles are crawling on my scalp and rabbits are eating my hair. What a relief it is to be so a part of it all. How nice it is to experience sensation in such a way. My stomach tightens now. It hurts. It's twisting, like a knife was pressed through my layered skin and then turned 90 degrees. I look down as my heartbeat pulses through me and I can see my skin trembling. The pain spreads down my legs and up my spine like the sweet rush of ecstasy. I feel the bones in my extremities lose density and crack, disintegrating the most inner core of me. My skin is turning a nebula of colors, and I watch as the tints shift. It's similar to the floor of a church that has stained glass windows, with light pouring in on a sunny day, colors oscillating and morphing into each other. I look up at the canopy once more, then at my body. A hole has appeared, gaping wide open in my stomach, rumbling a noise like a kitten's purr. I move to touch the hole. My hand fits perfect. I can go further in, the tissues and fluids soft, warm, and inviting. My fingertips move along the inner outline of my body. I reach for my ribs, eager to hold on. I'm in up to my shoulder now. I reach my other hand inside, down into my leg. I can feel the tensely bunched muscles. My head curls, and momentum allows me to crawl inside myself. I breathe in the sweet, putrid air and listen. My heart is now the only noise I hear, a solid and slow-moving pendulum. I dig inside the tightly bound muscle of my calf, working my fingers in deeper as I move my hand further down. Upon the discovery of my Achilles, I pull upward, using my forefinger to disengage the thin strips of connective tissue from the bone, as if I were freeing them. I grab the ends of the muscles and pull to tie them to my sternum. I repeat the process first with my opposite leg, then with the muscles located on my wrists, fastening all the loose ends to the strong plate of bone in the center of my chest. I've cocooned myself inside the muscles. I lay there, listening and hearing nothing, running my fingers over and through the innermost layer of flesh. It's smooth and it feels good to be touched this way. I'm sinking oh so slowly into the earth now. It feels good, and I rest.
Well done. You survived, and you might even be feeling a little bit of a of a buzz right now. I know that happens to me every time. Yeah, ride that wave. So what happens is the terror becomes adrenaline, becomes, and then they can't, then they can't get you shut up at any mic for the rest of your life. Okay, so again, another person new to our series, and we're glad to welcome him here. Please say hello to Danny.
Thanks. It's an experience I had with a 6-year-old girl. Well, it was an educational experience. I want my mama, she said. And then her head hung down, and her heart dragged across the brown carpet of the kindergarten classroom since the other kids had already gone outside for recess. And I mustered up the best I had to offer this young angel in her winter white dress that hung on the ground and bunched in her fists. And while her listless nature forbid me to hold her too close to my heart, and the thought that I might save her had long since departed my station of options as some one-on-one counselor with no power to lighten the load of her 10-ton childhood, I said, well, you know what, Jasmine, sweetheart? Why don't we write your mama a letter? We can tell her how much you love her. Maybe then you'll feel better. And this child's eyes, wetter than the oceans at high tide, stole a glance inside my soul as if to say, I know you're trying, mister, but nothing's gonna help me fly now. But I took out some paper and her favorite color, blue marker, and I asked her to dictate a letter to Mama from school. But since Jasmine was second-year kinder care drama, she couldn't spell Mama, much less her own name. And I wondered, as she stared off into space, was she finding the right words to say, or was she dreaming of a place far away from the situation that the school's administration had described to me as her extenuating domestic circumstances? And after 5 minutes of her being silent, I decided to just take a chance with my job and offer this youngster the hug she so desperately needed. And it still bleeds my heart how tightly she squeezed me. And then she says, Eminem, because that's how she'd tease me. I'm tired and I'm sick and I want to go home and I want to hug Mama. But I said without comma that we had to stay here at school. It was a lie, but I held that lie steady. Because the truth was, we had tried Mrs. Johnson already. We'd called her at work and at home and at Grandma's. They all had the same answer, that Jasmine's mama had not been around for 2 weeks or more. And I imagined this child with her brother and sister making their lunches, catching their buses, cooking their dinners without Mama's hand. And I began to understand this story that Jasmine was so worried about. Her tears were like prayers that her mom might return, and her eyes burned from having cried for 2 weeks or more. And I had already learned that her asthma was on account of the smack that her mother attacked her with while still in the womb. And here in this room, alone with this angel, I fought back the tears of my own. And I strangled the notion that somehow my devotion might evolve the corrosion of the walls that had frozen most of Jasmine's emotions. And as if she could see through the bones in my face, she looked at me deep with her naturally stoned eyes, as if to say, I know you're trying, mister, but nothing's going to help me fly now. Then she sat down beside me as if to console me, my grief as apparent as this lie I was holding, and she says, let me write it, and you give me the spelling. So I handed the marker to her without telling that deep down inside, I knew that she was just one in millions of children whose lives had been destroyed by the mishap and choices their parents were making. And I wanted to say that love is not something to be taken for granted, and that you're just a seed that's only just planted, and in years, you might find that your tears now are valid, because how many times are we forced to repeat these lifestyles we wish would become obsolete? I mean, when is some thug gonna leave my Jasmine behind with 3 kids, a drug habit, and no peace of mind? And she took the marker, and I helped her to write. And pretty soon the word Mama appeared on the white page. And then this little girl turns to me and says, what does love start with? And I froze. I just thought about that question. And I thought about how love starts with a suggestion of trust. Maybe love starts with soul. Love starts with feeling like we're a part of a whole. And I realized that no matter how unfit a mother might be, love starts when we're born and it continues through our family. So we sat down and we wrote Jasmine's mama a letter from school. And she finally stopped crying. And then even I found my cool, so that when we were done, we folded it up, we wrote Mama again on front, and we went on down to lunch. But when we were walking through the hallway, it was cute. Everywhere she went, she would hold my hand. And I remember I thought about gravity, and I thought about flight, and I kind of squeezed her palm gently when I thought of what might be. And I realized that there isn't anything that's going to help you fly. But today, for a moment, I can teach you how to walk on by your pain. Thanks.
Thank you. I have a few for you, but I want to start by reading a poem by a very short poem that was sent to me by Sarah Dudley, who will be our feature next month on July 14th. After everything, I carry hope in my chest, delicately, like a bird in a cage, wounded, wary, watchful, resilient. So there's some flyers up here, so if you want to know more. And like I said, I have a few for you. Just have to make a decision here. Just an order of decision, no other kind of decision. Okay. Father used to steal our safety. Now old and near death, his silence merely torpedoes the tenuous web slung across miles that holds this family together for now. Over time, he is transformed from playmate to monster, to inconsequential ruler, to invisible man, and back into monster again. Does he have enough time left to settle this mystery? Do we? Now I have two poems that I want to dedicate to my friend Tiffany, and she knows why. And there are several reasons why, but one of the reasons is both of these include a line or possibly more from her. First one's called We'll Party in Heaven. I've been in a perpetual dither of late. It's the guy I've been banging. See, I'm the star of a one-woman, multi-man variety show. I never had any pink beams or anything. Brought into the pink. Sonic connection to landscape, sonically pleasing, 2 nods, 2 landscapes, rampant seriality, sort of re-entry problems, silly putty affinities. Seemed like everyone, even the moon, was happy and drunk. The universe is a wondrous thing. I shall cogitate upon it. Life is limited, crazy blurry. Everything is slippery, phenomenal specks of light. Language can't type. Everybody's been bit by something poisonous, a panopticon of literacy. He basically educated me so he could talk to me, not really knowing how to language that. A true Bronx mantra made me wish for a village. Everything you say will be stolen. Every memory deserves to be chronicled, even the saggy ones. Mine are not necessarily cheerful, but they have green in them. I am always naked. Aim for their third eye. I'll do truth and beauty. To incorporate the two is the work of a cosmic wisdom. This heinous implement, wholesome and delightful. You have to have hubris in this world, an unfolding permission to stroll freely, to become a non-entity. When you disappear, fear disappears with you. The storehouse of optimism is replenished. Thanks. So I stole from a lot of people there, including people from the community. Robin Moore is in there, Matt Eifert, who's read here, Morgan Hutchinson, David Meltzer, who came, Sabra Larson. There's dialogue from Mike Lee's film, Mr. Turner, which you should probably check out. And Tiffany, as I mentioned, a bunch of other people, Karen Reed. One thing that I've been doing with these collage poems occasionally too is working in like the translated dialogue from foreign films. Sometimes that taken out of context and recontextualized in this way could be really poetic. So this is a shorter kind of collage poem that begins with the line that I borrowed from her. And it might make you laugh, but I was really thinking about naked in the larger sense of every time we get up here to do this, we're making ourselves naked. Every time we make ourselves vulnerable to the universe so we can write our poems and paint our paintings and write our songs, we're making a choice to be naked rather than closed down and uptight, right? Always naked, a constellation prize. We all have this channeling, this shamanistic ability. Some make more use of it than others. Every once in a while, my own genius overwhelms me. I got secrets, cousin. Constellations being lit by the subject matter. When you see them with space between them, what's going on over there? I don't know. Her phone is talking to me. I'm going to start over, but I swear it's not a long one. Careful back there. We all have this channeling, this shamanistic ability. Some make more use of it than others. Every once in a while, my own genius overwhelms me. I got secrets, cousin. Constellations being lit by the subject matter. When you see them with space between them, they are phenomenal specks of light. But so many things become less certain, somewhat conundrous. We don't have any answers to these questions, and we don't want them. We don't need them, we just need to do the work. You've got to understand your limitations. It's your limitations that make you the wonderful disaster you most probably are. You don't choose what you fear, it chooses you. You have to have hubris in this world. There are people who will try to strip you of your humanity. There are those who don't have your best interests at heart. Be fine, I know you will. So, I want to just acknowledge, because I've been recommending this to all of the poets that I know, all the creative people I know, those lines about you've got to understand your limitations, it's your limitations that make you the wonderful disaster you most probably are from the end of Nick Cave's film 20,000 Days on Earth. And I insist that you check it out if you want to be inspired. It's a kind of a hybrid of a documentary. There's some things in there that are definitely documentary footage, and a kind of very stylized, hyper-real, fictionalized version of a day in the life of Nick Cave. And even if you've never heard his music before, just trust me and check it out. It's a beautiful film. And I think that I convinced Tiffany to come over and watch it with me, but she hasn't told me yet whether she'll be naked for me during the film. We'll have to work that out later on.
I'm always naked.
I have a no pants rule in my house, but the thing is, people don't really follow the no pants rule, so it's usually just me with my pants off and other people telling me to cut it out, right? The joke about that, as you might have noticed from being here at Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, is that I'm not really a big fan of rules. So as soon as I said there's a new rule in the house, you're not allowed to wear pants, everybody knew that was full of shit anyway. So I want to say a big thank you again to John Kay for his beautiful poetry. And you may or may not know that he's a fantastic visual artist, so I think this would be a good time for us to ask you, where can people see your visual artwork right now if they would like to see it? Is there a place where they can see that stuff? I've seen it and it's amazing. You've seen a little bit of it because a little bit of it is on the covers of these two books, but like all good art, it's much more amazing in person, right? So is there any place where they can look at it right now?
Not right now.
Okay. Anything upcoming you could tell them about?
Well, no, actually, I'm working on a new process. So, I've got a lot of new work that's coming out, but no, I have no exhibitions in the works.
Well, if you want to let me know when you have something coming, I will let this community know.
Then go to my website. You can go to my website and see it. If you want to write it down, it's www.pbase.com /
How do you spell P-base?
PBASE
Okay.
/JAKAY.
Okay.
But he has,
I guess I'll pass that on.
have them up in 360.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a restaurant in Vancouver, which is really my gallery.
Kind of.
They've got about 14 pieces.
Okay, what's the name of the restaurant?
It's called the 360 Kitchen and Bar.
Okay, 360 Kitchen and Bar. Check
It's
it out.
over towards Camas.
You won't be sorry.
So yeah, there are a lot here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The food's good too.
Good.
Great.
So, thank you again. There's still a chance to buy one of these 2 books if you'd like to. Oh, we always forget to remind people that if you did have food and drink, please make sure that you pay your tab before you go. And also, don't worry about chairs or anything like that. They take care of that. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, I hope to see some of you on Saturday for the workshop. And thank you for your time, your energy, your words. It was really a beautiful experience for me. I hope you experienced it the same way. And I'll see you on July 14th. Thanks.
Thanks again.
It was great to hear. I don't. And as I said, not only was I enjoying it, but well, is it? Yeah, well, so that might be the first time I get to actually experience it.